got some folks already testing out the chat function. Feel free to give that a run if you have any questions. We're going to get started here with Rich Odell, and looks like we'll have a few more folks jumping in as we go about. So, Rich, take it away.
Good morning. Thanks a lot, Brian. I'm Rich Odell, and I'm one of the co-managing directors for SPIRE. SPIRE has two arms. One's the Institute, one's the Academy. And we're happy to be part of this operation in moving SPIRE to a whole new level of expectations and opportunities for kids. My background, I've been in private education for 40 plus years, running private schools around the country, and also serving in other administrative capacities. But we're happy to be here to work with SPIRE. I'll turn it over to Ted Meekma.
Yes, hi. My name is Ted Meekma. I'm the other co-managing director along with Rich. My background is, my whole career has been spent in the sports camp and academy business. I was 30 years, primarily was one of the co-directors of IMG Academy and was one of the founders originally with the Voluntary Tennis Academy, and I helped develop the Ledbetter Golf Academy and then all the various sports academies at IMG, soccer, baseball, basketball, the Performance Institute. And now I'm working with Rich, and we're brought on board to help take Rich more on the academic side and the student life side and the career development and personal development side, myself more on the sports aspect. Our job is to build up the camp and academy and sports programming side of SPIRE. Looking forward to this conversation.
Good, and hello everyone, I'm Brian Oliver. I am the Director of Admissions at SPIRE. I have 25 years in private education, working at a variety of schools, all clearly mission focused and driven, and was given the opportunity, although far less distinguished than the two co-managers, given the opportunity to jump on and join the SPIRE team, and I'm excited about the direction of the academy in particular, and eager to help folks through the admissions process. So looking forward to answering any of your questions later in the webinar.
So we've divided this into three sections. Thanks, Brian. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about an overview of what SPIRE is and why, and then Ted will talk about the components that he suggested he's responsible for, and then Brian will answer questions about process and procedure going forward, and then we'll open it up to questions following that. So why SPIRE? SPIRE is a new type of educational and experiential learning environment. It is something that's going to build on all the college preparatory academics that one would hope for in our type of an environment. But that's only one leg of a four-legged stool. The other three legs being equally important in terms of the development of each child, and those being personal, skill development, and growth. Third one being their passion area, which at this point is primarily sports, although we're going to be adding a lot of other types of specializations for students. And the fourth one is careers. What we know today is that kids need to see a pathway to that first opportunity in life. And if it's not to be as a full-time athlete somewhere, to be a coach, to be a participant on a marketing side, to be doing a variety of other things are what we want to make sure kids are well prepared to do. Being better prepared when you go to college is a critical next step, and we are designing this institution to deliver to that. So you'll hear me refer to this as the four pillars of the four-legged stool going forward. Our college preparatory curriculum is like you would get at any other private school. We have a partnership with Grand River Academy, which is a school about 7 miles up the road. We are essentially a satellite campus of that school for the first 3 years of our operation. What it lets us do is be able to have an accredited school that can provide transcript and diploma, and also lets us, as a satellite campus, accept international students to come to SPIRE Academy. We'll be that for 3 years, and during that time, we will also be securing our own accreditation so that ultimately we will be separate from the Grand River experience and be SPIRE Academy as a fully accredited school. Some people ask, well, how does that impact you from an admission standpoint for college. And I would tell you that it doesn't actually impact it, given all the different ways in which kids today can get a high school education and be prepared for higher education. The universities are very open to very different types of models, which would include one such as what we're doing at Spire. Our faculty will be some of the some of the Grand River faculty, but then also some of our own that we will augment to provide the curriculum. As I said earlier, it's an academic-based program, but the career piece will be provided by folks who have years of experience in those fields of which they might be interested, whether that's medicine, whether it is archaeology, architecture, law, all these different areas where kids will have the opportunity to spend time learning about those careers as part of their whole overall program. The whole personal development side, again, is something that's very important. Developing the skills to be a good collaborator, to be a good listener, to be somebody who is not in it just for themselves, but looks at the value of working together in a team environment, and not just in sport, but in all aspects of their life. We intend to be a very international community, so that whole component of experience is also one that we want to make sure from a personal level that all the students understand the value in all of that for them going forward. We will have a full college preparatory programming in place from freshman year through senior, and people to work in helping students identify what's the best fit based on what their interests are and where they might like to go. We will also have a learning resource program. So for students who are non-traditional learners, that might be somebody with ADD or ADHD or with language-based learning difference, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, or excuse me, that would also be something that we have good staff in place to help each student work through our academic program with great success and be a strong advocate for them as they pursue whatever is their next step. We'll have counseling people on staff to help kids with personal matters, also to just be there as a good resource, a good listener in the model. And we have a brand new facility. So if you've not been to Spire Academy, it is a 775,000 square foot facility under 3 roofs. One half of one of those buildings is where we are housing the first phase of development of Spire Academy. These are all new facilities, all new furniture, all new equipment, which includes an e-gaming lab because that's one of our 5 new specializations. E-gaming is not only going to teach the art of playing games and eSports, but it's also going to teach the design, the development, and also how to build out eSport activities on a larger scale. So we have one of those facilities that will accommodate 15 students in the gaming facility, classrooms, a science lab. We'll have other folks, as I said, there to support each student and parents in that facility. We'll also have brand new residence houses. We are having 5 units constructed right now. They'll be coming to campus in the early to mid part of June. And we will have new housing where there will be 12 students per building, 2 to a room. There is bath facilities, not gang bathroom, but there's bathrooms for every 4 students right outside of their rooms. And also a house parent that has an apartment in that facility. Those are going to be located right adjacent to our parking area, so very convenient for students to go back and forth from there. For folks who are thinking, as we all are, about the COVID-19 and what that impact might be on us going forward, we have really thought that through thoroughly and have a full plan in place for how we're going to manage that with all of our students through temperature taken 3 times a day, through having one entry path that all kids will enter and exit each day, those being the boarding students, but also day students that will accommodate, and then a comprehensive way to check kids medically to make sure that everything is all right with them on a daily basis. We do have a partnership with Cleveland Clinic, and so with that resource available to us, it lets us feel that we've got all of our bases covered And more will come on our website in the next couple of days, showing exactly what that will look like in terms of the COVID and how we're going to be well prepared for that and ready to start our academic programs for the calendar year, the school year part, the last week of August. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ted to talk about sports and more.
Yep, thanks. I'm going to give you an overview on about 7 different things. I'm going to talk a little bit about the facilities, and then talk about the sports, then the various programs that we offer, what the Performance Center, Training Center is all about, then a little bit on the Spire coaches. I'll touch on competition, and then I'll just share a few of the events that Spire is already very well known for hosting on an annual basis. So as Rich said, the size of the complex is very impressive. I've been doing this all my life. I've been all over the world, seen a lot of different kind of sports facilities, and this one is pretty special. The size of the 3 buildings, the 175-acre campus, indoor, the Olympic pool and the whole aquatics center is spectacular. Indoor and outdoor track and field facilities are very impressive as well. The fields and courts building, the court side can host up to 6 basketball courts or 12 volleyball courts. There's an outdoor stadium that seats 10,000. It's turf that can be for football or soccer or lacrosse or special events. Total of 3 turf fields. The Performance Training Center I'll talk about. Massive Spire Fuel, we call it, which is the cafeteria, and a lot of the support facilities that you need for a complex like this and for the kind of programs we're going to describe. The sports that are kind of our core sports for the camp and academy programs this year are basketball, swimming, track and field, and then 2 new sports, eSports, e-gaming camp and academy program, and then something that falls under the banner of future sports, which is drone racing and development, robotic development, and other kinds of emerging technologies. We can answer more questions about that afterwards if you're intrigued. It's the first time ever for these kinds of programs to be in an academy setting for high school students, and it's pretty exciting. The programs that we offer, obviously the academy that we're talking about today, both high school and PG. There's a lot of post-grad kids that taking a gap year, and Spire is set up to offer that kind of product in conjunction with local colleges so that you can take courses for credit as well as working on in your sports specialty. We've got a full, again, as soon as we're able to open and get back on campus, we'll have a full cadre of camps, summer camps, and then depending upon the sport, there's club programs at certain times of the year and leagues and clinics. So our goal is to always have a 12-month approach toward our various training programs offered in each sport. In the summer, we'll also offer volleyball camps and soccer camps to a degree as well. Spire Performance, or the training center, is a key part of all of our programming. That's where the long-term athletic development side of things takes place. The physical training, the mental skills, conditioning, nutritional guidance, that's all falls under the heading of the Performance Training Center. I'm proud of the coaches. I've worked with a lot of coaches over the years, and I'm a big fan of the coaching staff that we have on site. They're all experienced, longtime coaches with all coached at the college level. They know how to prepare students for that next stage of their playing career. The only coach that is not does not have college coaching experience is Tim Mack, who we just hired from a track and field perspective. He's our director of training and development. But he was the Olympic gold medalist in the pole vault in 2004. So he's a great guy and a hell of a pole vault coach and a great addition to the team. The competition that is set up is a little bit unique because this is a 9-month school year academy program where training in your sports specialty takes place all year. So because of the amount of time the players spend with our coaches, we're not a part of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. So our competition schedules are all independently based. But again, our coaches build the whole training program around the competition schedules, and they know who to schedule and at what level our students should be competing. So it's an excellent training calendar and competition calendar. And then Spire is one of the biggest and best known hosts of top quality large tournaments and events in the country in a variety of sports. And so the amount of coaches that come through the location and the amount of spectators that come to witness the various events being held on site, it's also very unique. Big Ten championships, Big East championships, Atlantic 10. We've hosted NCAA Division I and II, as well as NAIA events and tournaments. So, again, I've not seen many places that can combine both the academy style training program and the regional club and league and camp program that brings in additional students for those academy kids to compete against, and then also have a chance to host so many events as well. It makes Spire a very unique operation, and one that Rich and I are excited to be a part of, and are looking forward to building our academy business starting this fall and growing it consistently over the next 5-6 years. Brian?
Sounds good. Thank you, Ted. Thanks, Rich. And I just open the chat, and if you see the chat button on the bottom of your screen, you can click on that and start dropping any questions you might have in there about the programs or the process. Again, my role as Director of Admissions is to help families navigate their application and entrance to the Academy. My job primarily focuses on the Academy, and then my partner, Len Spacek, handles all of the camp registrations. But if you reach out through the inquiry form on the website or email admissions@spireinstitute.org, either Len or I will get back to you so that we can share our passion for Spire and help you see how it can help you or your child make the commitment and reach their goals. So a couple of things about the admissions process that I just wanted to touch on today. It's a pretty traditional admissions process for an independent school. There's an online application that you can find at spireinstitute.org. We do require 3 letters of recommendation, ideally at least one of those from a teacher, preferably 2, and then one from your area of interest or passion would also be helpful for this is for the Academy specifically. We also would want to see, as part of that application process, evidence of your performance in your passion area. So whether that be Twitter handles and game handles for the eSports teams, or highlight videos from Huddle or YouTube for the court-based sports. We want to be able to take a look to see where your skill level is so that we can evaluate how we can help you get to where you want to go. We also will need an academic transcript. Oftentimes we start with an unofficial transcript so that we can help families see the fit, see what the academic program would look like, but we do require an official transcript before a student can enroll. And then the 2 pieces that are the most fun for us would be a call with either myself or Len Spacek to talk about the program, to talk about the opportunities, to answer any questions the family may have, to discuss finances, and then following that, an opportunity to Zoom or call and speak with that passion area coach or director. And those are generally do not involve me. While I'm a proficient and a fan of all sports, I certainly cannot provide any feedback on the future or talents of our athletes. So we leave that to the experts in those areas. So that's in general the admissions process for the Academy. Registration for the camps is a little bit less arduous. Both of those links can be found online. I will post those, or maybe Sydney, our tech guru, can post those in the chat so that you can also have easy access to those links right from this webinar. But we're excited to work through this process with you. We're excited to answer questions that you have, and we're really just thrilled to be representing Spire and helping it as it grows into its full maturity. It's very much a school in its adolescence right now, and it's super exciting to be a part of helping it grow. I'm going to take a look now at the questions. So pardon me as I type a little bit. Ted or Rich, do you have anything to add on what I just shared?
I do. Thanks, Brian. The plan that we have, when I described at the outset here that we're both an institute and an academy, I'd like to focus just a little bit on the institute side. And while that doesn't pertain to what many of you might be interested in right now, for the long term, it might be of great interest. We envision with the creation of Spire that we have a facility that is not only teaching kids, but also available with programming for adults and programming for senior citizens who want to learn sports and other areas of specialization, but also a place where corporations that are interested in doing research on the development of new things, whether it pertains to nutrition for athletes, whether it pertains to brain development, whether it pertains to robotics, and not in terms of the robots that we think of in elementary and middle schools, but we're most focused really on full-size robots, the development of them for medical purposes, for all the other different kinds of things that we will be needing, but most of all our children and our grandchildren will need in the long term, and the areas where those professions are going to take these kids. And so putting that together all under one roof, where we have all of this occurring, we believe is the best opportunity for a child to maximize their growth, both personally in that area of passion that they've already demonstrated, which may be one of the things we're talking about today or some other new ones, but also the academic and then the career component. With all of that, you become the admissions office, because you will have demonstrated time in training in these different areas, not just your passion, but in some of the career areas. That will make you someone who the college will see as well prepared and focused on what they want to do. Now, if you're somebody that's not fully focused yet, that doesn't preclude you from coming to Spire, because we have opportunities for you to pursue better knowledge and understanding of what those careers might be and see where they're aligned with some of your work, some of your interests. When we talk about, for example, the robotics and the drone components, the team of people we've put together are an extraordinary 2 individuals who are part of the founders, actually, of drone design and development, and also working in the robotics field. They will be 2 of our leaders in the development of that program, both for the summer camps that we will offer throughout the year, on weekends, on vacation times, for kids to come to campus and be part of all of this. Quite an extraordinary group of people that are coming together, and we know that that's only going to increase with every person we reach out to about what we envision, as I just described this to be. We see a great deal of interest of how can I get involved? Where is there an opportunity for me as a learner, as somebody who just wants to pursue a hobby, or somebody who wants to work and be part of all of this? So we're very, as Ted and Brian have said, we're very excited about this opportunity to move Spire forward to be the model in the country for the new learning platform for kids, eventually from middle school through post-grad and adults and the senior citizen. But an exciting time for all of us, and we look forward to having you be thoughtful about joining us. Back to you, Brian. Questions?
Well, and Rich, if you could just stay with the eSports and future sports, could you name drop a little bit and share who's joining the staff and how that's going to be structured? We have a couple questions about that.
Mm-hmm. So the structure will be similar to what occurs if you were taking a traditional sport, one of the 3 sports that we've also referred to. You will spend half of your day in that field. So you'll do half a day of academics, half a day will be in the area of learning about drone development, designing them, flying them, having a drone team that competes around the country, potentially outside of the country as well, Having the expertise with people who are involved in engineering and design and development, testing what drones are going to be. We know that the need for drone pilots, which we will also have the capability of licensing, people who fly drones, that need is only going to grow more significantly, as you have seen online, as drones start to deliver packages. That's only going to increase. The demand in that arena is very strong. And some of these are actually opportunities that do not require you to go to college initially, because these companies are looking for people out of high school to be trained and prepared in these fields. So we bridge that gap, if you will, of opportunities that can be achieved coming out of high school or that you'll want to go on to college to pursue. We also know from talking to universities that they have a great interest in what we're doing and partnering with us as well. In this, the two people who, Mark Komblat from California is one of the two. He's the primary person that's been involved in drone development over the years and has a great future sports program out there that's now coming to be part of what we're doing and will help in that arena. His cohort in that is Doug, and Douglas is the business side of it, and Mark is the creative side of putting all this together. We have a curriculum identified, part of that afternoon, part of the morning curriculum, because your sports will be in the morning, your academics are in the afternoon. Sport part will be the training, working in our workshop, and also looking at and designing new things, and then practicing the flying of them.
Good. Thank you, Rich. Ted, a couple questions about the future of competition in this COVID-19 era and what we're looking at or planning on in terms of both providing competitions for our students and keeping them safe.
Yeah, that is the biggest question right now, and it's one we think about and study and research and talk to people in the industry about every day, and it's hard to predict exactly what the situation will be like in the fall and exactly what type of procedures will be instituted. We'll be following, I mean, we've got contacts from the NBA to USOC to all kinds of college, and so we're trying to bring together all the information we can as to figure out what is the best way, how big is the travel season, how many more things do we try to host at Spire, and how much more do we stay within the region rather than traveling as much as we have in the past. I don't have absolute positive answers to all of those things yet. Thankfully, we've got a little time before the basketball season launches to get through all that. But I assure you that safety has got to be the number one concern. And luckily, with all of our years of experience and contacts in different levels of the industry, we're going to have all the best info at our fingertips to make sure that we're doing things the right way, because nothing's more important than health and safety. And we realize that for parents to feel comfortable sending their child to our program from a day perspective or a boarding perspective, you've got to feel like we've got their best interest at heart. And you know, I've always said when people ask me about the academy business, I said, the 4 hours a day of the training is actually the easy part. It's the other 20 hours a day. That's why a lot of people aren't very good at this business, because it's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts, and you know, your parents and coaches and teachers and counselors and security and drivers and cooks and all the things rolled into one in order to make the academy experience work. Luckily, you know, I have a lot of gray hair and Rich has almost no hair because of all the years that we've been focusing on this exact kind of business with these exact kind of problems. This one's a little unique, but we will find a way to figure out the best procedures, I assure you.
Thank you. A question about tennis or any other sports that Spire may accommodate, and how?
You know, we do not have a tennis program today, and I feel bad about that, because I started in the tennis side of the business. the one side of the field and court building actually has tennis courts drawn on it, but it's really not the right surface for that. So we're not in the tennis business today. I would like to be, but I think the common sense answer to that is, if we were in the tennis business, it would probably be more of the local camp and club side of it, not a full-time academy, because there's so much competition in warm weather, outdoor-based programming that tennis as a full-time academy at Spire probably wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Sure. And could either of you, or maybe split it in half, do a day in the life of a student?
One thing before I do that I do want to say is, we're going to have these every week, and we're going to be inviting people like our basketball coaches to come on and sit and answer specific questions better than I could. As well, our future sports colleagues and eSports director, we're going to invite them to join, because they're the experts. They're the ones who, when Rich and I approached them with this idea, they were, we thought it made sense, but we didn't look at it we don't know it from their end of the spectrum like they do, and they all felt the timing was perfect. So I think it's going to be very interesting, and so we'll be bringing people like that on to be able to answer questions directly, more specifically than we can. And we're constantly going to be putting more stuff up online, and we're building a new website as well, that the first part of that's going to launch in a couple of weeks, and so there'll be links to a lot more detailed information on some of the academy aspects of the future sports programming within the next couple of weeks.
Good, thanks.
Ted, why don't you start by showing or sharing what a morning would look like in terms of time kids get up, since the morning is the passion area of it, the sport component, and then I'll do the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, the nice thing about running an academy like this, where we also kind of drive the school product, is that we can schedule things the way we want. And I think we're going to, this year, I think our plan is to do more of the training in the morning. And that's about a 4-hour block of time split between skill development and, getting ready for competition, and then also having time in the performance training center from a physical and a mental perspective. So that schedule would be about a 4-hour block, broken up a little bit between those elements. People would be getting up at 6:30 or 7, having breakfast, and then getting into a program that would finish, prior to lunch. And again, we have the ability to split some of those things up if we want to, depending upon the sport. Maybe come back later in the day and do certain things. But that's kind of the basic approach. And then you schedule the intensity of your training experience based on what the competition schedule looks like. So, there's in-season training and there's off-season training. And then the in-season training gets a little bit more focused depending upon if you're getting ready to go to a 3-4 day tournament or meet someplace. So, again, I could talk about this kind of stuff all day, but that's kind of the big picture overview of what an academy training block. And that would be 5 days a week, and likely, if not competing on the weekends, some type of training opportunity on like a half a day on a Saturday as well. We have to make sure we don't overtrain.
And just to be clear, that's within all of our passion areas. All of the areas would participate in that schedule. Correct.
The amount of time committed to the training passion, whether it's eSports or basketball or swimming, would be very similar. And the other thing is the right balance of training and competition. Sometimes people can over-compete and over-travel and put too much emphasis on the victory, as opposed to, we're really in the development business. We're not as concerned with the number of wins as we are in making student athletes get prepared to go to the next level and the next level and the next level. And so we're a little more concerned with the development overall, as opposed to, short-term victories. It's a nice thing to put on your mantle, but that's really not the long-term focus of the right kind of academy, and that's what we're going to be presenting.
So picking up at that point, lunch is next, and we are significantly upgrading the quality of the food and the variety of the food that we provide to ensure that all of our students are getting the nutrition that they need, particularly in light of COVID, and just wanting to make sure that we're maximizing the opportunity for kids to be healthy all the time. After that, they would move just down the hall from where they would have lunch into the school area to a variety of classrooms that can accommodate up to 15 people. We don't expect that large a number at the start of this, but in rooms that are very well appointed with technology to maximize kids' opportunities to grow both individually and collectively and collaboratively. So their subject matter, math, history, science, English, language, the arts, all of the different core pieces, and as well as some electives that will be available in that space. Much of that will be team taught. So faculty, where instead of teaching math singularly or in a sort of a silo, the math teachers will work with the history and the English and science to look at how math that's being taught is part of what they are needing to learn in those other areas. So cross-curricular, collaborative learning model is what we advocate for. And we will build that out over a period of time. We will look at what the strengths are and the needs of the students and be able to meet those where the kids are, not having the expectation the kids have to come to where the school is, but to put together a program that will serve them well. That part of their day will go from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 5:30 or thereabouts. Incorporated in that is also the opportunity for some of the personal skill development, the things about time management, the things about developing good listening skills, working in an environment where you're living together, as many of our students will. How do you respect and trust and feel confidence and comfort with kids from around the world? And how do you build out a better person yourself and be more of what you can contribute to others? All part of what will occur in that component. Then there's the career piece. So as our students get into our routine in the academics starting in September, we will then look at where their areas of interests and strengths lie outside of that passion area. And we'll start to bring in the people on a regular basis to work and implement programming and give kids the exposure and some of the experience into those fields. As the Spire Academy program grows, we would ultimately get to a place where those kids, if they're majoring, let's say, in the track and field arena, but they also have an interest in sports management. Well, they would get to, in that career component, work with somebody that makes their living in sports management, who would walk them through a curriculum over the course of a semester and their 4 years that lets them be prepared that when they start to apply to a college, they can honestly say, I've had this much time learning the sports management field. What that will make is a student far more prepared to go into a university program and major in that area and stay in that area and see that through, which is a big concern for universities, is how well kids are prepared for what might be that first experience in the working world. Then there's dinner, which again is in what we call fuel. And after dinner would be some social time with activities both in our facilities, opportunities to maybe go back into the e-gaming lab, even if you're not an e-gamer as in your passion, but to go into that space and be able to learn from other students, because an integral part of our delivery is students learn better from students sometimes than they learn from faculty. But when you have all of that available, you excel at a much faster rate. In the evening, there will be study time. That'll be back in the residence house. Residence house does have a lounge area also. We'll have schoolroom open in the evening for supervised study hall. The faculty will be on a rotation. in terms of nights per week to work with students, so that if you're not doing well in your math, you actually have a night designated where there's a math teacher available, typically for an hour and a half, to work with you individually and help you get a better understanding of what you're struggling with, or how you want to advance beyond maybe what some of you're learning in the day-to-day program. And then there will be a bedtime, lights out time to make sure that our students are getting the rest that they need and being ready for the next day, and again, to help ensure that they stay healthy. Brian?
One more question that I saw on the chat list over here was about college path. And that is a big part of what we focus on every semester, every year. Rich and I don't even know if we could count all the thousands of kids we've helped put on a college path over the years, but that is part of our job, is to make sure that we help every student have the best chance to get, kind of matched with the appropriate college program, both academically and athletically. And coaches love places like Spire because, they understand what we're trying to do is prepare someone to really excel at the college level. So we've got someone on our staff that focuses just on that. And then the coaches are our coaches are well connected with collegiate coaches at all different levels, so that they'll start talking to those coaches early on about, helping place our kids into the right institution at the right time. And that can be a high school senior or a post-grad. We'll do the same kind of service for both audiences.
I would add just a couple things to that we, with COVID and its impact on education, is making higher education look very differently at what's going to be acceptable for admissions consideration at universities. And the better a student is prepared in the 4 pillars that we've described are the foundation of Spire Academy, the better chance they will have of being successful, meaning getting into the schools that they wish to go to, but also being successful once there, becoming good alumni of Spire Academy, but also being folks that will go out into the world, find the health, find the happiness, find the joy in what they're doing, both professionally and personally. And that's what we believe is a successful person. College is an integral part of that, but delivery of academics is going to change in higher education. I work with university presidents in this arena, and it's going to continue to change more quickly than what we've watched higher education change in the past, in large part driven by what we're all struggling with on the planet today, the virus. Brian?
Thank you, Rich. One person we didn't mention is Robert Skinnian. Could you or Ted share how he's going to be involved in the eSports side and what he's going to be helping us bring to fruition?
Ted?
Yeah, Robert is he's an interesting fella who knows every end of the whole eSports, e-gaming world, from being a competitor to setting up college programs to working with professional leagues to working with companies that are involved in the development side of the gaming industry. And again, he's someone that we enlisted to help us set up a curriculum for the camp and for the academy, and very well connected in that world, in that community. And I think I could speak for him when he says he's very excited about the potential of this kind of program. And then he's working closely with Mark Kornblad and Douglas Burnett on the future sports side, because there's a lot of overlap there. And there's the chance not only from the competition side, but for students in these areas to get into and understand the development side and the business side and look at different career paths in that world beyond just competition. So we think it fits very well with where we want to go with the Academy and the Institute. And Rob and Mark and Doug are going to be 3 key components in designing the curriculum and finding the right instructors and bringing the right guests and helping build that path the same way Rich and I did that from a sports academy standpoint.
Hi.
Thank you,
Sorry
Mike.
to interrupt you.
Good. Any last words before I think we've answered most of the questions. I'm going to encourage anyone who has questions or curiosities about the admissions process to reach out. I included my email address in the chat, or you can certainly find it, or just send admissions@spireinstitute.org. But I'm excited to work with all of you who are part of the chat today, and we can go forward from there. And obviously stay tuned for other webinars. But Rich and Ted, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, I think we're going to put together a schedule here shortly that goes up and says who's going to appear at different times so that you can get new perspective and new insight into some of the specific areas and not the same overview next week from the two old guys on the line.
And while we didn't reference it specifically, we are a co-ed institution going forward. And we are having great interest from women and gentlemen who want to be part of this new experience of education and personal and professional development and looking down that path. Hope you'll join us.